What is going on, YouTube? How are you? I'm super excited for this because if you found this video, you've probably been looking to buy a property in Mexico. You've probably seen some of my videos, but you've also seen that it is not possible to buy in the Riviera Maya using financing options. Maybe you've come across Tu Casa. Stay as far away as possible from Tu Casa Express because this financing opportunity is straight from the United States. You don't need any sort of title insurance. And this call is going to summarize what is required and how it works. So I want to share with you this. And if you want to start the process, feel free to visit my website, contact me, click my Instagram, however you want to get in touch with me, and I'll set you up with the right process. And I'm super excited to share this, and I'm actually going to do it myself. So let's jump into it. I am actually super interested in learning more about getting financing in Mexico as an American or as a Canadian, and how it works. I work with a lot of developers here in Tulum specifically, and if we could get financing that is very smooth, this will be a game changer, as long as the developer or the owner gets paid in a timely manner, like a regular bank. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Just to give you an idea, been originating loans since 2019. Prior to that, basically we would buy the debt from other lenders. So, this is very normal here in the US. You create a mortgage and then you can sell that mortgage to other banks, right? So that's sort of what we were doing. But independently since 2019, we have closed multiple loans throughout Mexico, specifically in the more resort towns like Puerto Vallarta, Cabo. We do have several loans in Cancun, a few in Puerto Peñasco, so kind of throughout all of Mexico. Right now, we've seen a lot of movement in Oaxaca. A lot of Canadians buying property out there. Now, one of the things that I would like to emphasize is when people call us, so we get a lot of leads, people calling, trying to find out how they can purchase property in Mexico. We are a financing company that is providing loans in US dollars to Canadians and Americans to buy the properties in Mexico. Now, for us, we already have a very simple and clear system in place for closing. Normally, our closing turnaround time can vary from anywhere from a month and a half to 2 months. And that is actually pretty reasonable considering that when we first started doing this, closings could take up to 4, 5, 6 months even, right? So right now, that's what it takes approximately. And that's, when we are able to get all of the documentation that is required for the loan. So usually it would be a month and a half or 2 months for a closing from start to finish. Okay. And what is the down payment requirement amount? Okay. So for new loans, the average that I've seen, we can finance up to 70% for a new home, so for a purchase, and 65% for a refinance. Now, that is for someone with very good, high credit score, good income. The average that I've seen for a new purchase is 65% and 60% for refinance. So we have appraisers that we work with. We don't actually physically go there. So when we sign the documents, we have a power of attorney. We work with different people throughout Mexico. So we have a power of attorney for the Airbnb. We have a power of attorney for Cancun, Playa area, all the way to Merida. So there's different people that we work with, and there's also different appraisers that we work with. And yes, we would order the appraisal, and they basically send it to us, by email. As you know, most likely in Quintana Roo, there's no title insurance. So I'm reading your email. You don't have to have any title insurance, huh? No. So we are not requiring title insurance. We do obviously do our due diligence. We do look at title. We also require certificates of no lien. At this time, we don't require title insurance. And then when it comes to setting up the fideicomiso, you guys handle all of that? That is correct. Yeah. So we work with a closing agent, or again our POA, and we take care of all of that. We work with the local notaries and set up the trust with Monex as well. I personally would just like to refinance my own property. I have it with a company called Tucasa, and they're the worst company I've ever dealt with in my entire life. With that being said, I'm gonna have to do a whole nother closing cost and put a whole nother amount down. Is there any way to like just transfer the loan over? Because then now I'm putting up, I mean, if you can help me run numbers and
Mhm.
if it makes sense, like I can't afford to put another $30,000 down just to refinance.
Well, in this case, when you're refinancing, it would mean that you're not buying a new property, right? So you're not putting money down essentially. So what we would do is, let's say, what is your property worth right now? What is the value of your property? Give me a rough
Value, I
number.
would say maybe it's valued at like 520, 530,000, and I bought it for 430.
Okay, so we would definitely look at the appraisal. So let's say the value is 530 and 50. Let's see, 530,000, right?
Uh-huh.
So at the most that we would be able to refinance you would be 318,000, right? That's money that we would be sending to you. Now, is that going to be enough to pay your current loan? That would be the question.
Okay. And then I would just pay the current loan and be done with it and then just owe you the 318 back.
Correct.
And that would be over a 30-year.
So our loans are, and that's also clarification that's needed. Our loans are amortized at 30 years. However, you have to refinance your loan. So there's a balloon at 8 years. So it's a 30-year amortized loan with an 8-year balloon. That means that you have to refinance your loan at the 8-year term.
And when you refinance at that 8-year term, what does that consist of?
Basically, we have to go through and do another either a BPO or evaluation. We look at your payment history. If you're able to, obviously, if you have a pristine payment history, sometimes we may be able to reduce your interest. Our loans are fixed interest, therefore it doesn't change. Or if you can't refinance it, you would have to pay off the loan.
Okay, and so let's say in 8 years from now, the economy is back to normal and the interest rates went back down to 5%. And as of right now, I have the interest, just for this example, at 10%. When I refinance and you look at my payment history and all of that, is that something that we adjust the interest rate again and it goes down? Or,
So it's able to provide you with a interest rate reduction, then there would be a modification with an interest rate reduction and an extension, right? So it would be for an additional, I don't know how many years you would decide. You can do that with us, or you would be able to do that with another entity, right? Another bank that would be able to provide you with financing. If you're getting a 10% right now, that's not a bad interest. Our interest varies from 9.99 all the way to 12%. So in most cases, you would either be getting the same interest rate, again, depending on your income and credit score, your FICO score. Um, and that's a residential property, right? It's not like a commercial building or anything like that. It's a
Yeah,
single family residence
it's
or
residential.
condominium.
Yep, yep.
I ask you because we're not able to underwrite commercial properties at this time.
No, it's what's it called? It's just an investment property,
Right.
vacation home that I rent on Airbnb.
Yeah, I mean the process is actually very simple. We do have a loan origination fee of 3%. Other than that, you basically have to pay to set up the trust, which is 1,200 to set it up, and that's paid directly to Monex. And then the annual trust fee, which is another 1,200, that can be paid in a lump sum, or it can be paid monthly, to Monex directly. The loans are serviced here in the U.S. It is serviced by a U.S. entity. They will basically will provide you with tax statements and documents on your interest and your principal payments every month and at the end of the year. Here in the U.S. and also in Canada, sometimes you're able to deduct any interest that you paid from your taxes. So some people, use that as a form to pay less taxes, but I don't know that that's going to benefit you in Mexico. So the payments are not made, in pesos. They have to be made in dollars to a U.S. Loan servicing company.
Yeah, that's fine. And then can you give me an idea of like the monthly payment for example, a house for 430,000 with the 65% or the 60% refi? Are you able to do that math based on, let's just say, a 10% interest? Yeah.
So you said 400 and what? Give me the amounts again, please.
So the value is probably 520, but I bought it for 430.
So are you going based on the on your purchase price, the 430?
I guess so. What's better, to go based on the value of the house or the purchase price to refi?
I mean, obviously, you're going to get more with the value of the property, but I can give you both, right? So if you want me to check on 430 and do 520, I can do both.
Okay, yeah, if we could do both, that would be great.
Okay. So 430, that would be 258,000. Okay.
Okay.
That would be the loan amount. I'm going to go with 10%. That's 2,264.13.
And that's for how many years?
That's amortized at 30 years with the 8-year balloon. So it's amortized at a 30-year loan.
Okay. And can you explain that a little bit further? Because I don't fully understand where the 8 years come. So I'm paying roughly $2,000 every month for 30 years, but on the eighth year I have to do something.
You're not paying, so it's amortized at 30 years. Basically, it's calculating as if you had a 30-year loan, right? And that's to keep your payments lower. A portion of your payment goes towards principal, a portion of your payment goes to interest. At the term of 8 years, you have to refinance your loan or pay off the loan. So those would be the two options. That means that, yes, the loan is amortized at 30 years, but you only have an 8-year term.
Ah, I see. And then how would I be able to refinance it at that 8 years? I just could do it again with you?
You could do it again with us, or you can refinance it with any other company, right? So that would be up to you.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because I'm trying to understand this where it would benefit my investors. So an investor would say, okay, it's going to cost me $2,000 a month. I mean, for me, for instance, I make more than $2,000 a month on my Airbnb. So if my Airbnb is making that and really the guest is paying the interest rate, I don't really care. In 8 years, if I have to refinance again, obviously I'd like to pay it off because it's going to save me on the interest. But if it's $2,000 for 30 years and I can refinance again and do that, that's attractive for my investors and myself. So I understand that. So the 30-year amortization with the 84-month balloon, you either have to refinance. Now, is there ever a time where we're going to get to that 8 years and you're like, and your guys' rules change and it's like, well, no, we're not allowed to refinance it for you because we don't do that anymore. And then now I'm stuck with being forced to refinance or forced to pay it off. And now you know, I'm using all my cash that I didn't want to use. Is that,
So, I
where's the
mean, I can't
guarantee
argue
there?
that nothing would change, right? That would be kind of, uh, I would not be able to predict that. However, if you're signing a contract, then we would have to abide by those rules of that contract. And if that contract allows you for a modification or an extension or anything like that, then yes, we would have to honor that.
Okay.
That's why you have to hire a contract, and not only as on the promissory note, but also the fideicomiso, right? The trust with Monex. So whatever clauses are included, that's what we would have to go by, right? Those would be the laws that we would have to abide by.
Okay, and then one last question about the fideicomiso. I already have a fideicomiso, and some of my investors already have a fideicomiso. We have to close the other one out and reopen it with you, or you can overtake our fideicomisos that we already have.
So because right now we are currently only working with Monex, you would cancel that fideicomiso, that guarantee trust. You would cancel it and then open up another one with Monex. And we've done that multiple times. So that's something that we can do with the notary. We would coordinate the cancellation with the existing bank and open up the new trust with Monex.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Well, this is really good, helpful information. And then Yeah. So, all right. That's really good. That's really good information. I appreciate it.
I
Thank you.
know it's a lot, and definitely, I sent a lot of these key points on the email. As we move forward, I am always available if you need, if you have questions or if you need clarification. One of the reasons why I think is beneficial to some people is, here in the U.S., especially in Canada. So in Canada, mortgage loans have a maximum term of 5 years. They won't even do more than 5 years. So every 5 years, the client has to refinance. So they're very used to that term. In the US, you get a mortgage loan with a balloon payment when you want to get into a property quickly, right? The good thing about these types of loans is that there's no prepayment penalty. So a client can always send additional payments that could be applied towards their principal. And so at the end of that term, they have much lower balance, right? So there's different things that they can do. Or again, they can, some people just want to be able to get into a property quickly, start building some equity. Some of them sell them after 5 years and make a profit, right? So it just depends on what their purpose is.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Oh, I hope you liked that video. If you want any sort of financing in Mexico, specifically in Quintana Roo, specifically in all of Mexico, feel free to contact me. I can get you set up. We can start the paperwork, and you can just start, getting the things organized to figure out your specific situation, and we will go from there. Follow the link in the description below. Hit me up on Instagram at DursoNJ, and I can just help you get it set up. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.